Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, it's good evening because it's 8 p.m. Happy. What is it? Saturday? Man, I don't even know what day it is. Happy Saturday to each and every one of you. And welcome to our August edition of McAgee3 Meetup. You know, it's been some time since we've come back to this game. There have been highs, there have been lows. But one thing is for certain, this game is very, very important to this channel and to many other people. And here's the thing. There have been other versions prior to this game. Most who would argue would say that they're superior to this game. And you know what? They might be right. That might be very true. However, be that as it may, it does not take away that this game is a very special game, especially for me. This game has been very, very integral of this channel's success. It has brought us a lot of high octane action. It has brought us some pivotal moments that we cannot really repeat up to this point. And it's even given us a whole lot of headache. But it was the good kind of headache. And although we have not seen this game in some time, we have finally found our way back. And we are now joined with a mutual company who also feel the same way about this game. This game will always have a special place in the McAgee3 Productions family. And that's why we're here today. It has been a very, very long time since we've come back to this wonderful game. This game has been just truly, I cannot describe words how amazing this game has been and how pivotal. I'm going to say pivotal as many times as I need to about how great this game is. So ladies and gentlemen, cats and kittens, all of you wonderful folks that can hear the wonderful sounds of my voice, we have finally come back home. This is Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. Let's get in there, let's rock. Once again, good evening everybody, happy Saturday to each and every one of you, and welcome to our August edition of McAgee3 Meetup. It's your man McAgee3. We're out here, we're trying to get some Dissidia Final Fantasy NT action going, but we cannot proceed without me introducing my guest. My guest is a true connoisseur of the fighting games. However, more so, he is a true honest-to-goodness fan and leader of the community of Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. He has done videos, he has played over his Twitch channel, and I am honored to have him as a guest here today. And I am joined by the one, the only, LordChaoSama, and it looks like I gotta do a little bit of an update. So, LordChaoSama, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I know because somebody in the chat is definitely gonna say it. So generally the pronunciation, it should be, you can either call me KO because calling somebody Lord is pretentious.
Right.
I have to do that. So feel free to just call me KO.
Okay, KO. All right, KO is fine. Yeah, because as soon as I saw the name, like I was like, is it Chow?
Yeah, no, I actually do jokes and stuff about it because it's that. And you see the spelling, that is a natural way that you always want to pronounce it. So don't worry about it.
Okay. So for right now, while we're trying to get this game updated, I do apologize for not being completely prepared. Burning Butterfly, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Gray Skittle, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, it has been forever, hasn't it? So tell us, like I was alluding to, LordChaoSama, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is KO. I've been playing fighting games now for some time. You know what I mean? I want to say, I started with like everybody. I started with Marvel versus Capcom. No, actually before that, I played the Alpha series growing up. So Street Fighter Alpha, like the old school one, like on Sega Saturn and all that stuff, X-Men versus Street Fighter. But I really, really liked fast-paced fighting games. So I think that really hit a stride when I started playing like X-Men versus Street Fighter, and then going to Marvel versus Capcom and MVC2, and we all know how that went. But I was definitely not a connoisseur, right? I was definitely just a button masher playing with their friends, and then I definitely played Smash for a number of years as well. And just kind of, I always liked really fast, chaotic games. Those are the things I really like. So Smash and the Versus series definitely were the things that got me into fighting games for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So tell me, while we're here, so why content creation?
That's a good question. Actually, I wasn't ready for that question. Why content creation? So, well, that's one thing that's always intrigued me. I think, like a lot of people, especially if you're in the FGC sphere, Maximilian dude,
Mm-hmm.
watching his content, you know, and being a fan of his since the Marvel 3 days, and watching his do his online warriors, watching the evolution of that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think content creation is something that's always loomed in a lot of people's head. You know, if you stream on Twitch and stuff like that, that's one thing. But to actually take the time and create content, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you write a script, you make a video, you edit it all together and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That normally is a whole nother hill that a lot of people generally don't traverse, right? That's
Right.
just something that a lot of people just don't really get into,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's just more difficult, right?
Right.
But the reward is greater, right? I always feel
Mm-hmm.
better when I create a project versus when I just do a stream. A stream is great, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it is finite, you know.
Right.
But I just always like curated content, and you know when the pandemic hit last year,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know, there's obviously a lot of free time. You can't go anywhere, you know, and there's nowhere to go. Like your agenda's kind of like outside of work, your agenda's kind of clear, you know what I mean? So I used one of those stimulus checks, you know, those things they're handing out.
Right.
Bought a PC, learned Premiere Pro, and I just, you know, kind of baby steps, and that kind of got us to where we are now.
Good. It's yeah, like when with the I think with the pandemic, I think a lot of people like really got the opportunity to really give content creation a go, because as you stated, you know, we're all stuck inside, and you know, what better time to try to learn a new skill and maybe turn it into something, you know, more so than what it is, you know. So that's that makes perfect sense, and yeah, that's pretty awesome. I've seen, and like I've mentioned to you like before we got started, like I watched um one of your YouTube videos, and the quality was really good actually, like better than the stuff that I've done. Like all I've been doing is just mainly just been like stream replays and whatnot. But like you actually went that extra mile to put in the extra clips and like, you know, all the other good stuff there. Um, so okay, so that basically, I'll ask this anyway, even though you kind of sort of answered it anyhow. So how did you get started specifically?
Oh, with the content creation specifically, or kind of like in fighting games?
Let's go with both because I still have 83%.
Okay, so let's actually start with fighting games.
Okay.
So you know, played Melee and stuff like that with friends. I played every version of Smash, you know, from 64, all of them. So then there was one game. There was one game that just really struck my fancy: Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Right.
And that game, in many ways, it changed the entire fabric of my life. That was the first fighting game ever that I wanted to actually be good at. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be a button masher. I wanted to understand the game. I wanted to, you know, be good at the game. I wanted to be notable for something with this game. And that was very different, you know what I mean? Because it's one thing to be good amongst your friends, you know, you can beat all your friends, cool. But when you see, you know, watching Team Spooky, you know, watching Wednesday Night Fights and stuff like that, and you see these players doing these incredible things, you're just like, wow,
Right.
like that. They show you what's possible, and that really opened the door. You know, that allowed me to want to be better at fighting games. Marvel 3, you know, I put it all there. You know, Marvel 3 definitely was a change in a lot, and it always will be a special game for me. So that's kind of what made me more serious. You know, I started traveling, started practicing, started grinding. You know what I mean? Just I wanted to be good at the game. I would still say I'm decent at the game. I wouldn't consider myself I'm decent, right? There's players that would definitely just 10-0 me easily.
Right.
But I have a firm enough understanding of the game, and more importantly, I think that it's just like it's traversed past the whole, okay, you're playing a fighting game, you're just mashing, you know, it allowed me to traverse past that. So that's something I always liked a lot. I always definitely liked a lot. So with content creation, the second part of that question is, that was something that was a little precarious because there's a lot of things that, you know, interest me. You know, I have a lot of different interests and stuff like that. But the thing is that unfortunately I'm a little bit scatterbrained. I'll be honest with you. You know, one thing I was kind of like fixated, like, oh, I like this, I want to do this and stuff like that. But the one thing I definitely always loved was the City NT, right? So I was like, I'm just gonna use the City NT kind of as a tentpole, kind of increase my skills with content creation and just kind of understand how to make a video, how to make compelling, you know, scripts and stuff like that. And that's kind of what opened the door. And I also like, you know, classic RPGs, Final Fantasy and stuff like that, Chrono Trigger. So I just kind of, dip my toes into like writing scripts,
Mm-hmm.
writing videos, video essays, stuff like that. That's kind of the content that I enjoy the most, right? I like variety channels. I like video essays. I like people that sit down and break down things, the intricacies of video games or plot structures or cinematography or anything like that. I really enjoy things like that. So that was part of what I wanted to emulate, right? So I kind of used Dissidia kind of as a learning mechanism, so to speak, because I know that this was a little bit safe, right? This wasn't a huge, massive audience, and I was pretty well known in the community, so it allowed me to kind of, learn at a pace that was okay to fail, right? There was some missteps, obviously, as part of the learning process, but the City NT was definitely very good for that, I want to say.
Okay. Well, that's like that's pretty in depth, dude. Like that's awesome. Like you got your start with freaking Marvel 3. I trust you stuck with it all the way through Ultimate and whatnot, right?
Yeah, so Marvel 3, vanilla, that was still a button masher then. Then Ultimate came out, and then I think Ultimate is definitely where it switched, right? It switched between, this game looks fantastic, it's cool as hell, to, okay, I want to understand this. I want to understand what's going on the screen and how to move and what decision making, all that stuff. I want it to be better than what I was. And then, I did actually play Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite when it came out, but that was just different. That was really that was a real eye-opening experience, because literally when that game came out, I was like, dude, I'm ready to put it all on the line. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm ready to like grind this game out from morning to night. I'm willing to travel. I was just willing to go all in on that game. I thought that game was going to be the one. And funny enough, I wouldn't say I hate the game, but it just wasn't for me, right? I love the game's community, though. The game has a very, very awesome community, and it's just the game itself has just too many things that fundamentally I don't like. So that was an eye-opening experience to be like, this isn't what I thought it should be. You know what I mean? And one thing that was always very funny was you would always hear about the Marvel 2 heads that hated Marvel 3, right? They were like, Marvel 3 is trash. Why are you playing this game? Like, I don't understand why you guys are playing this game. It's so bad. And I used to always have this mindset, like, you guys just can't adapt. You can't adapt to this new game. Just say that then. You know what I mean? And when Marvel Infinite came out, it was like looking yourself in the mirror, because I felt the same way. It was like, it's not that you can't learn the game. Like, the game's easy enough to learn. You know what I mean? But there's just fundamental things in the game that you just don't like. It's not considered entertaining for you. So that was a bit of a huge disappointment, but only had to wait maybe like 4 or 5 months, then Dissidia came out. So that was a different era anyway.
Right. Okay. So, we got into the lobby. We're ready to get some matches going. I see we got some other folks in here too, and their mics are on, so I guess we're just gonna have to bear with it. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get in there and see what we can do. So for those of you that might not be familiar, the City of Final Fantasy NT is a team-based, team-based arena fighting game. It's really, really heavy on the teamwork side of things. So it's like the characters are actually styled in such a fashion. As a matter of fact, this kind of segues into one of my questions that I actually have for you, KO. Finally said it right. So in your video on his YouTube channel, just look up LordChaoSama and you'll find his YouTube channel. He has a video that says the 5 things that led to Final Fantasy's downfall. Without giving away the stuff that you've basically said in the video, because I would much rather people actually catch your video and check out all your other content on YouTube. What would be when was the key moment where you and everybody else knew that it was a wrap for the City of Final Fantasy NT?
Oh, that's a good question, man. That is a good question. Okay, so I would say that this kind of happened in tiers, okay? So I was there from the very beginning, from the beta. and I was like watching the Japanese reveal of all the characters and stuff like that. So I was a little more abreast of the situation before it even came stateside.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say within the first few months, up into the first few years, because I didn't actually become like a community leader at all until like maybe it was over a year. The community had already existed. I had been involved with the community and I had helped run events and stuff like that, but I was not a leader. I was just a normal guy playing a game. I would sometimes hold tournaments. But looking at the perspective, it was very clear to see that Square Enix, as much as I love Final Fantasy to death, they just did not have a clear, concise game plan, man. They did not. They didn't know what they wanted to do with this game at any point. They didn't look at some things that their competitors were doing or rivals were doing, and they didn't, try to emulate that behavior. I mean, they just ran into a lot of pratfalls, you know what I mean? So from the onset, it was always very rocky, and I felt like and I think the harsh reality, and it all really comes down to this, is that this game was always just kind of existed because, I feel like there was some type of partnership or some type of agreement that they made with Sony, because in order to get the game into arcades, they ran like a modified version of PS4. So in order to do that, I'm sure there was some type of handshake agreement that said, hey, okay, I'm going to let you use our hardware, but at some point you got to, put this game on our system. You know what I mean? Like, sure, that's, win-win kind of quid pro quo kind of vibes there. So I think that this game was always just a little bit of kind of a afterthought when it comes to Square Enix. It was like, this game's going to come out and it's going to do what it does, and that's it. And once things weren't exactly going how they planned, they literally just like wrote it off. And I feel like this game honestly was, after 13 to 14 months that it was out, stateside, it was completely dead. It was done. Like, they had done the free-to-play version, they had done the whole Steam version. That was the last major thing they ever did for this game. And that's something that's 13 months after launch, which is, that's not a good look. That's more support than Marvel got, funny enough. But the updates that we got, it was all kind of secondhand, right? It was, all right, there is arcade stuff coming out, right? They're still launching characters over there, new stages and stuff like that. So we would kind of get that. So it kind of made everybody stateside feel more of like the redhead stepchild. It was clear that this experience wasn't for us, right? We were just kind of getting the things that they had already developed for the Japanese arcade audience, which was a huge shame, you know what I mean? So to answer your question, the writing was definitely on the wall kind of instantly from somebody that's been down that road before, like with Marvel 3 and Marvel Infinite and losing support really quick. There was definitely some telltale signs, but after that first year, it was definitely a wrap. It was like, okay, this is clearly, this isn't a good look. There's something definitely going on behind the scenes. They just don't seem to have any interest in fixing these huge critical issues, like the online network architecture. I'm sure you've experienced that yourself. I'm sure everybody in the chat has also experienced that at some point, where it's the game is unplayable in different regions and stuff like that. They just had no real concern to try and fix some of these immediate problems. So the writing was on the wall immediately, So I was like,
yeah, because it would have really helped if they actually did something about that instead of just letting the chips fall where they may and whatnot.
Yep, I agree. I just felt like they needed to listen to some of this feedback, and this is the trade-off that Square Enix ultimately made. They decided not to fix the game, because they thought it was a lost cause. So they wanted to take that, financial loss, right? All right, the game didn't do well, but the other loss that they took, which is more important, is now the Dissidia name is like smeared. You know what I mean? When somebody says Dissidia, it's not always rosy memories that come back. It's like these people that were so hyped for a console version, and they played NT and they had a horrendous experience. So they actually paid for that, not fixing that in a lot of different ways, and more so than anything, before this, that was a very hollow name. You said Dissidia, and a lot of people had really great positive memories about that, and not so much anymore. So they're they're paying, unfortunately, in more ways than they probably expected, because they have a lot of ground to make up, not just with NT audience, but the original people that bought the game on PSP. A lot of them hate this game. There's no other way to sugarcoat that. They absolutely hate this game and everything that it stood for. So they got a lot of ground to make up with the audience, honestly.
Yeah, man, freaking just a lot of stuff. Cause I think the other thing about Dissidia is that because you mentioned before that people, most of the player base who played the games before, it was be like duodecium or whatever, and to be honest, for me, the Dissidia that I played was the first one, and it was a Japanese import, and and I had it for PSP, and I had no idea what the heck was going on, but I just remembered I just had so much fun playing it, and I was just like, yo, like, so for me, it's like I went from the very first Dissidia to this, and so I never had the duodecium experience to really base it off of. And so for me, it was like, because I feel like because I didn't have that, it made it easier for me to like digest, the product that we have here, and and maybe had I had played Duodecim and whatnot, maybe my opinion would have been different. But even if that were the case, I'm kind of glad that that's not what happened, because I absolutely love this game. I absolutely love it, like top to bottom. Because I think one of the other issues I had with the game is that the maps were so widespread, but like the maps were so widespread, but the only thing was like it was only 2-player. Like why? Like let me think. I think it was the Final Fantasy 1 stage in the first game where it was like a castle in the middle of the map and it's nothing but empty space with a few islands. Like what are you supposed to do with all that space? what?
Yeah.
There's only 2 of you. You do not need all that space. It's ridiculous. So then
I agree, yeah.
So then you take that, you take that and then you go from that to NT, and it's like, yo, freaking, I feel like this is exactly what the game was supposed to be. Obviously, trying to cap on some of the stuff that your YouTube video had mentioned. There definitely were like some major things that were missing. Like mainly like being able to have like little special items to equip to your character to give them certain effects. Obviously they had to do the summon system the way they did here because it has to be team based. But I remember in the first game, like summons had different effects, and you could you either had auto summons or you had manual summons, and you could just do things off of that. And so yeah, it's just really unfortunate that like not only was the community basically turning their back on the game, but also like Squeenix themselves. It's a heartbreaker,
It really is. It was such a squandered opportunity, honestly.
Right. Like oh my gosh, like you want to literally talk about a game with just so much potential, but it's just like, it was on the losing end before it could really, get its legs, that sort of thing. Like this is definitely it. This is definitely that game, man. So since we're on the topic of Final Fantasy, what was your gateway game to the Final Fantasy franchise?
Definitely Final Fantasy IV. I am going to be 32 next month, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember Final Fantasy IV when it was so called Final Fantasy II. You know what I mean? And it came in that red cartridge. No, that red kind of print for SNES. Mm-hmm. So that was my first, exposure to it, and I always played them, growing up. Played 10, played 12, played 13. You know what I mean? So they were always been a part of my life. I love RPGs, specifically old school, like turn-based Japanese RPGs. I remember the new ones are okay. You know what I mean? But I just kind of know myself, and I know which ones I like. So Final Fantasy has always been a pretty big part of my life, right? It's just something that, I don't know. I feel like the series, as time went on, the changes that they made weren't for me. Like 13, I really like a lot of aspects of it, and I really dislike a lot of aspects of it. But one thing with 13 was that I didn't like a lot of its characters, honestly. And then that kind of compounded also with Final Fantasy 15, is that I didn't like the roster. I was like 4 guys in a car. Like, this isn't what I play Final Fantasy 15 for. And I know it's much deeper than that. And I know that, hey, you got to try it, you know, in order to actually experience it. But
Mm-hmm.
the whole like thing, it just started changing in a way that I just didn't like, you know, as time went on, honestly. So I just didn't want to, I just wasn't interested in it anymore. I would play the old ones because I thought the old ones are timeless, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like they really stand the test of time. Like I went back and played Final Fantasy 10,
Mm-hmm.
12, you know, HD remasters. I just replayed 4, did a video on that.
Right.
We just played 5 for the first time ever, and all of those still hold up magnificently.
Right.
So I think that Square Enix has definitely had a bit of an issue with finding its footing with some of the newer titles.
Right.
But I think that Final Fantasy 16 definitely does have some promise, and I absolutely love what they've done with Remake. I think Remake is the best thing that Square Enix has done in a very long time.
Oh,
That's
dude.
not a remaster, like an actual. Of course, it's a remake,
Right.
but a lot of the mechanics and stuff like that is much well done. You know,
Oh yeah, dude. I absolutely
like a lot of things that they did.
absolutely love 7 remake. Oh my goodness. Like
good.
I know it's not the same as the original, but see the beauty of it is that like if you have the opportunity to play the original first and then play remake, it's like you get like your experience is like intensified in the sense of it's like you get to enjoy what the original was, and then you can kind of make heads or tails of like things that you like and dislike about the remake. And it's just like I really do enjoy like some of the things they did. Like one of the key things that they did that I really liked was how it was like you had some basic enemies were freaking leveled up into actual bosses. Like the what is it, the monster house? In the stadium,
House, right?
yeah. Like that dude was a boss now. It's like, yo, whoa, this man has stepped up. And so
I like so many decisions that they made. The game looks immaculate. The voice acting was spot on, and it just really translated, you know, that game into today's day and age. You know, it's just they did that almost perfectly. There's a few things that needed adjustment, but overall, I just thought it was so well done. And it's just like that playing Remake really like restored my faith in Square Enix that hey, they still got it. You know what I mean? Like this is the same company to me that made Chrono Trigger. No Gears. Like it made some of the best stories, in my opinion, that have ever been told when it comes to gaming. So like I just needed to know that they could do it again.
Right.
Honestly, I just needed to know that they still had the magic, and I think that definitely restored it for me.
Right. So 4 was your absolute favorite, I would say.
4 was my first one. You know, actually, it was funny, man. As replaying 4, some things hold up really well, but the story is pretty flimsy, man.
Right.
You know, I love those characters. It's pretty flimsy. It's just like, what? You know, this guy's on the moon, mind controlling this guy, and then this guy is mind control. I don't want to spoil, so I'm just not gonna put names. And then this guy is mind controlling this guy. It's like, all right, come on now. And then the last second kind of, you know, gotcha, like swap at the end for the final boss. I was like, this is just, that didn't work for me. But I love a lot of the character arcs. Obviously, Cecil was probably one of the best character arcs, you know, and that really showed you what can be done with character arcs and storytelling and stuff like that. And it definitely was a step up from Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3. And then obviously it just got better with 5. I just played through 5. I played through on the mobile Steam version, and I loved it, man. I'm gonna do a video on it, but probably give it like a 8.7 out of 10. It is so different than every other Final Fantasy. I think that's the thing, that it just doesn't get as much love as the other ones, but its story is very unique, and it has like some genuine humor there that still holds up after like 20 years of like launch. It's good.
Right.
I have never played 6, but I know it's you know, the one everybody loves it.
Yeah.
I played
6 seems to be the one that, you know, if you haven't played it, you're supposed to, you know, because I actually did play 6. I just never like finished it. I think I got to the part where you do the you know, the musical thing where you're singing and it's a play, and then that's where I just kind of fell off.
Yeah.
And
it's so here's the thing. I grew up with an older brother that's about a year older than me, so we'd always like split things, right? So I took Final Fantasy 5 and he did Final Fantasy 6, and he finished it and he liked it. I didn't. So a lot of my play, like some of my experiences would be like, hey, I'm playing the game, or other experiences just like literally sitting there watching him play it, which isn't the same as playing it, but you kind of get the gist of it, right? You know what I mean? You get the full story and everything like that. But yeah, I'm gonna go through and do 6. I played 7 a lot. I actually, that was when I was like 21 or 2 or something like that. I downloaded it on PS3 and did it all, and that game still holds up. The original 7 is really good. Didn't really like Final Fantasy 8 too much. I could not gravitate or click with any of those characters, man. Like,
yeah. 8 was a little. It was a bit much.
Yeah.
Like nothing. That was the one with Zidane, right? Or is that 9?
8 was the one with Squall. And,
yeah. It was
in the mashing GF for summon and stuff like that.
Right.
That was that one. I tried to play that game so many times and I just couldn't get into it. I'm gonna sit through and power through it. FF9 was the one with Zidane, and then the thing about that was like these guys like have big heads again. You know what I mean? Like they went back to like the comical like proportions of like I can't go from Final Fantasy 7 to this. This is weird.
Right.
And then 10, I love 10 to death, man. 10 is, in my opinion, the best Final Fantasy story. It's just the one that's the most fleshed out, most realized, and they did an immaculate job with that. All the characters are pretty good, except for maybe like 1 or 2 of them. Even a lot of the side plots and stories are really well done. Never played 10-2, no interest in it. I just felt like 10, its story was perfectly concluded. There was literally nothing else to be said. It was done, and it was done in a perfect manner. There's really nothing. Don't touch this. It was kind of that level for me. Then they're talking about 10-3, which I'm gonna do some content on that. I'm like, I don't think we really need 10-3, especially the way that it's been explained. Is like, why there's no reason to bring Sen back. There's no reason to bring Tidus back.
Right.
Like these things serve their purpose immaculately in the first version. Why are they back? It just doesn't make any logical sense to me. So no. 12, another one. 12 is a bit like 5. I think more people understand how kick-ass 12 is now, but the whole combat system really rubbed people the wrong way. And they're like, what the hell is this? Is this an MMO now? Like, they just didn't like it, but I think it's genius. And I think the Gambit system is also a genius level property, but it's a lot of micromanagement, and I understand why people wouldn't like that. 13 has, in my opinion, from the ones I've played, has the worst cast, bar none. That cast is just, and it starts with the names. I'm like, the names are trash. It's just so much about that game I dislike, and there's some things that I really, really like. I still like the way the game looks. Its art aesthetic hasn't necessarily held up the greatest over the years, but I love Lightning. I think Lightning is a really, really good.
Oh yeah. Lightning like, and I'm not gonna lie, the NT kind of shifted my opinion of Lightning a little bit, but like, in terms of the game that Lightning came from, the game itself, I can do without it. But Lightning herself, like, design and the type of character she is, like, I can get behind her. I can't get behind her story, but I can get behind her. Like, she's pretty cool. Like, I really like her. Freaking same thing with 9. Like, I really like Zidane. I like the fact that he has kind of like he's kind of like Goku a little bit with the whole monkey tail and whatnot in terms of like the design. I mean, couldn't get into the game itself though. Though to be fair, my brain kind of is dumb because for the longest time I didn't play daggone Final Fantasy Tactics because of the art direction. And then I just accidentally picked up Final Fantasy Tactics, not realizing what I got. And then now it's like my greatest game, my most favorite game of like all time. I've played this thing like 5 or 6 times.
Masterful. So when it comes to, Final Fantasy does dabble into political intrigue and stuff like that.
Right.
That one is a master class. I know it gets a little more, sci-fi-ish towards the end with the stones and everything like that, and the Lucaviate, all that, but as far as just a regular story, I think it's right after or tied with 10. It is absolutely like insane, like Aaron Sorkin, like Scorsese level, like writing. You know what I mean? It's just like absolutely just insanely good. All the characters are kick-ass, even the supporting ones. It's just so good. That is a masterpiece, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh yeah, it's so awesome, man. At some point, I gotta play it on the channel. Like I feel like it's an injustice that I don't play it. But yeah, I love it. Let me see here. Let me see what else I got for you. So how tough was it to grow your channel? Whether it's your Twitch channel, YouTube channel, or just maybe just your status on social media. Like how hard was it to build it up?
Well, I don't really think I've built it up too much, honestly. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I think that's an area that definitely needs a bit of improvement. So
Okay.
this is the thing, right? When the Cydia NT no longer could just, you can't boot it up and just play it anymore because online, you just can't get in the solo queue or anything like that. That doesn't happen because it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Everything kind of slowed down. There's only like maybe 2 or 3 people nowadays that really even stream the Cydia NT. So
Mm-hmm.
it definitely is a niche game, and unfortunately, the audience sometimes can be a bit mercurial
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways. They like what they like. They like the people who stream it, and the audience is a little fickle. You know what I mean? I think that's one thing when it came to the Cydia. The Cydia, like I catered more to the competitive aspect for a long time. Like I actually, ran the IRL tournaments and everything like that. But the casual community is kind of split, right? You'll run into lobbies that are still doing 1v1s, 2v2s. They don't even care about 3v3s. They don't care about the roles. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like split in a certain sense. Like you kind of split the difference here. But kind of like growing my channel, it probably, in my opinion, should probably be a bit further along than it is now. But some of that really just comes down to my inconsistency. I am somebody that works like 50 to 60 hours a week. I'm a single father also, so like it is finite the amount of time you have. And then on my days off, man, I don't want to spend my days off just straight up like doing content. You just kind of like need a mental breather. But another part of that, honestly, is just like, you got to kind of risk it for the Trisk. If this is what you want, you don't want to be a content creator, you got to be consistent. You know what I mean? And that's it. You just got to offer something, a unique POV that other people aren't doing, be compelling, do it in a unique fashion. All those things are mandatory. It's just the way that the content game is nowadays. Everybody has a nice camera. Everybody has a nice mic. Everybody has a nice stream. You know what I mean? Like, what are you bringing to the table that's going to differentiate you? What's going to make your audience want to come back to watch you play, subscribe and stuff like that. So what I'm going to actually be doing soon is, it's interesting that you bring up this question because I think I'm going to actually be changing just a bit, from doing Final Fantasy content to actually switching back over to Marvel 3 content, actually.
Oh, okay.
That's something that, like, a few people were like, well, I always wonder why you do the Cydia content, you know what I mean? Like, or why you do Final Fantasy content. Because most people that know you, they know you from Marvel. You know what I mean? Like, a few people, like, know me from the Cydia, you know what I mean? Like, but they know you from, like, you playing Marvel 3. Or like, cause I actually went to tournaments, you know what I mean, for Marvel 3. Like, I went to Evo like 4 times. I've been to multiple like majors for it. Winter Brawl, Summer Jam, CEO. Like, they know me from that. So like, you're not really leveraging things that you already have, in order, for your audience. So like, I think I'm gonna actually switch gears there a bit. I think I will still do some Final Fantasy based stuff, but the thing is, I just don't know. I just maybe I have to change my approach with it. I do like talking about it, but I think that the way I do it is just way more time consuming, and it just takes forever for me to bring a project out. And you really can't be like that in today's sphere. You know what I mean? Like, these people are putting out a project a day, or a video a week, like, and it's pretty high quality. So if you're not like willing to do that, like, this is going to be a harder road for you. Whereas Marvel 3 might be a bit different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the other thing is,
reevaluate some stuff, I think.
yeah, because the community is also a thing as well, and like you said, in terms of your viewer base and whatnot, these are all things you have to take into account.
Yep. What does your audience want to see from you?
Right, exactly. Like,
That's
if you're known for
thing.
this, then like just go for it, right?
Yep.
Let's see. So, sitting here trying to not get bodied here.
Me too. I don't really use Vaughn. I thought I had his dumb set Azure Earthen. I don't have Earthen actually. He's not at level 10 yet.
I need to jump. Oh, I'm getting hit. Oh, this is bad. Yeah. Okay, that kind of stung.
Start summoning.
Okay, I'm gonna summon as soon as I get up.
Yeah, just finish. Yeah, just finish it. It's
Okay.
like this squall over here.
Okay. Okay, got the summon.
I think with this resurgence of Marvel, and it's actually playable now on Parsec.
Oh, okay.
I did a stream like 2 nights ago, man, and it ended up being like 4 hours, and the time just melted, man. You know what I mean? It's just like when it's like that and you're enjoying yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It hadn't been like that in a long time because the city is not like that anymore.
Right.
So it's just fun to like play viewers and just that kind of thing. That's where I kind of came from. You know what I mean? It's like just kind of like streaming Marvel or streaming fighting games, just stuff like that. So I think I might actually want to try and get back to that more approach. We'll see.
Sweet. Definitely.
I can get this guy.
Send a Banga at him. Did the wrong attack because I'm dumb. Okay.
Oh, he got hit by that. Okay, that's good.
Oh, he didn't die though. Okay. Let's see.
Oh, she got this going. Let's just melt down too.
Right, we're gonna do a big Shantotes attack. Oh, please don't hit me. I'm dead.
Ooh, I got hit.
Oh, time is up. Is it set up that way or?
Oh, we might have lost. Oh, yeah, I can't count. I don't know if we won or lost. This guy had 2,200.
Yeah, I think we lost. Yeah, we lost.
Damn.
Oh, sucks.
Okay, not bad for Vaughn and Shantotto.
Right. That's the one thing I've noticed. Also, another thing about Dissidia, and you can give me some clarification in case I'm mistaken. And this is probably where a lot of the animosity kind of stems from towards the game, because it's so geared heavily on like team-based gameplay, that the characters themselves, or I guess considering that I'm a Shantato main, the characters, you can tell that they're built specifically to be played in teams, and so it's because what I've also noticed with the community is that what a lot of people do with the community is they set up like 1v1 matches, or like we're doing right now, we're doing like 2v2s and whatnot. And then the issue with like the 1v1s, it's like, because the characters are built the way that they are, it's like if you're like a shoot main, shoot being like a character. For those who don't know, a shoot is a character who specializes in long range, so all of your mages and whatnot. If you're a shoot main and you're trying to do like 1v1, it's only like certain shoots who can probably do okay 1v1, whereas the rest of them is like, if you win, it's literally because your opponent put the controller down and just watched you. So imagine not playing the game the way it was intended and then complaining about it.
Yep. And it's just like, in Japan, where this game was created for the Japanese audience. That's the beginning and end of it. You know what I mean? Like, it was, American audience was a complete afterthought.
Right.
And I started playing Call of Duty again, recently with Cold War, because I just needed another game, to kind of play. And I don't know if it's just stateside, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's got a little bit better because there's a lot of like team-based games. League is very popular. Warzone, duos, trios are really popular, as well as Apex. So like, we can do it, you know what I mean? Like, Americans can do it, but they're still very individualistic, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, I don't want, I want to pick Yuna, and I want to run right into you. You know what I mean? I don't want to, stay back and be protected and, support my team from the back row. I want to play her how I want to play her.
Right.
And that's just, a lot of people never overcame that because they still are really in that 1v1 mindset, that 1v1 mentality. And it's just like, this is not a 1v1 game. Every character has a specific role. And I think when people start to understand and realize and really lean into that, that's where the beauty of the game is. The beauty of this game is in the 3v3 aspect. Right. That's what makes this game as insanely great as it is.
Yeah, and that's why the characters are built the way that they are, because it has that aspect in mind. Like, there is no, like, if the whole premise was to have the character set up to where they can hold their own in a 1v1, like all the characters were that way, then the style of gameplay would have a mode where it's like, if someone gets eliminated, they're eliminated, and then it's like a 2v3 situation and they don't come back. And in that regard, yes, it would make sense to have the characters made to where, they can hold their own if they're by themselves. But because that's not the case, because you die, you respawn after a while, and then you're back in the fight, because that's the style of play, that's why the characters are built to where they have their limitations in certain situations.
Because they're clearly designed to excel in certain things and not be so good in other things. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way the game is designed, and I think that Japan never had an issue with that. They understood what the game was and its limitations, but stateside there's always been an issue. That's why some people just refuse to play 3v3, and a lot of people are like, hey, I would actually join those tournaments, you know what I mean?
Right.
Let me tell you a funny story real quick.
Sure.
Is historically this game has always kind of struggled when it comes to tournament participation, right?
Right.
Even when the game was like very popular, I would have to literally PM people privately and be like, yeah, there's a tournament going on, there's a pop bonus, all this stuff, you know what I mean? And we would never really, if we get like 6 teams, that's good for us, you know what I mean? Or even 4 or 5 or something like that, that's a good turnout.
Right.
We randomly at the beginning of this year, around February or so, we did a 1v1 tournament. And when I tell you that tournament ended up having like 50 people randomly sign up for it, and it was the pop bonus wasn't even that much. I think it was like $100 or like $75. So
right.
You weren't like breaking the bank with this. But the amount of people that really just showed up out of the woodwork to play in it shows that the games, people still wouldn't mind playing this game. It's just that finding a team, sticking with the team, that's a hard probability. Like for some of these people that they like Final Fantasy, I'm not going to say that they're socially inept, but maybe they don't excel in social skills, right?
Right.
Like, hey, you have to kind of shoot your shot. Hey, I think you're good at this game, man. I played you in solo queue. You were excellent. You know what I mean? Would you mind playing with us in this tournament? Or do you want to practice? Or do you want to scrim? That's not a lot of the City of Players' forte. Right. That's just not what they I don't know if it's Final Fantasy or what it is, but that just wasn't their bag.
And especially considering that the games that came before it never really had that type of functionality in the first place. So to all of a sudden throw a 3v3 requirement into the game, it's like you said, it's a very hard sell to make. Because not everybody can squad up with 2 other people and be able to stick with each other in the competitive scene. Also real quick, Bushido Dom says Americans want to be the stars, they want to carry. You would have thought the lone wolf trope originated in America. Yeah, that's how it is sometimes, man. It's like we were mentioning, one of the biggest things is that you're taking, the biggest difficulty here is that you're taking a game that was already originally 1 versus 1, and then not only are you making it 3v3, but you're making it essentially a requirement for it to be 3v3, and that can be really difficult to do. Even back when Dissidia was still doing pretty well, quotation marks, I actually did have a couple of my buddies and we squatted up, and and then the issue there was that, and this kind of goes into another thing that you talked about in your video, was that the online, oh man. Oh man,
it's
something.
It is a constant sense of disappointment. You know what I mean? That this game really launched in this current state. That a lot of it's just virtually unplayable in certain situations, and it didn't help that the vast majority of the community didn't understand or care to know about what an ideal connection is, right? There's 6 players from different regions potentially. You're talking about, we have players from Japan, Brazil, Europe, all over the place. So if you are on a connection that is inconsistent or is Wi-Fi or any of that jazz, you know what I mean? It's just it's going to be bad for everybody. It's going to be miserable for everybody. So I really, really hope, man, I'll be honest with you, and this might be sacrilegious, but I really hope that when they redo this, they just do 1v1 with good netcode. You know what I mean? Right. I think that if they made 3v3 or 2v2 even optional, that'd be fine. But I don't, unless they really, really put in a lot of network architecture to make that 3v3 a solid experience, I don't think they would ever, I don't think that this would ever work the way that they expect it to.
Do you think that it probably would have been better if it was 2v2?
Maybe. The game wouldn't be as special as it is, in my opinion. The 3v3 is what, because I've watched Gundam, you know what I mean? And my friends play Gundam and I watch their streams, and it's fun and it's entertaining to watch and stuff like that, but it's not it's not the same. You know what I mean? It's just it would have probably done a bit better, and maybe the network issues wouldn't have been as apparent, and maybe I think the competitive community probably would have flourished much more because it's easier to be like, hey man, let me grab my buddy. You know what I mean? We're gonna play. We're gonna jump in a queue or something like that, or we're gonna join this tournament or something like that, or hey, it's not that much of a commitment when you're talking about 2 other people. You know, that's one more person that can bail. It's one more person that has an internet connection issue. One more person that doesn't have PlayStation Plus. It's just a myriad of issues. So, yeah, I agree. I think it probably would have done better if it was 2v2, honestly. But the game wouldn't be what it is. You know, I think the 3v3 aspect is what really pushes it over the edge and makes it very one of a kind.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, freaking, because I think the main thing like that I was speaking about is like if it was 2v2 like what we're doing right now, I do foresee like in a competitive format, I think having a squad of 2 is probably easier to manage than a squad of 3, because that goes back to what you were mentioning earlier about like the quality of social interaction within the community might not be the best or might not be suited for something like a 3v3 game. Cause like I've like 2v2, I think about games like, you know, you've got your Marvel versus series back when it was 2v2. You've got your Tekken Tag series that has 2v2. And these are games where you can actually hit up like 4 controllers and 2 versus 2, that sort of thing. And like, and it's easier to manage that way. Oh, another one, a big one, Power Stone 2. You can do 2v2 in that, and oh my gosh, it's just so good, man. And I'm getting beat up.
Have you tried it? Like, I know that we're not supposed to say this because it's illegal, or whatever, but emulators. Have you tried like on emulator or Parsec or anything like that, man?
I have actually tried out Parsec last month when I had my guest EMP Obama and we were playing Marvel 3. Ouch, I got hit by that. No, I didn't. So yeah, I actually have tried it. Parsec, oh my gosh, I will say this, like that was my legit first time actually using Parsec. And my gosh, it was, I don't think I've played online gameplay that smooth since Killer Instinct on PC. Like, good grief, man, it felt really good to play that game.
You know what's crazy, man, is Killer Instinct came out in like 2013, 14. So like the whole netcode issue was fixed. You know what I mean? Like they had already figured out how to make a game with good netcode. Right. And then we still have all these games that subsequently launched after it that have broken netcode. Right. And it's just like virtually unplayable. And I think that as miserable as the pandemic's been for a lot of people and families, is that I hope that this is, you know, show the importance of, hey, people can't go to locals. They can't go play in person. Your game needs to be playable online. So I'm hoping that a lot of developers really give more attention to that going forward.
Yeah, man. So, because, I mean, that's, because, like, look, like, because when you were talking about, like, the arcade scene is not what it is, like, it is in Japan, like, yeah, it's very true. Like, we're an online place now. Everything has to be online, and if you're trying to get games going, you can't be having some wonky looking like netcode or whatever the case, because they're just not doing anything after that.
You can't be having no teleports, you know what I mean?
Right, teleporting characters and whatnot. Like, yo, can we not? Can we please, no teleportation, please. We just want to, when I press the button, the thing happens, and then I'm either happy or I'm sad. Let's see here. Looks like my squad has, we have summoned, but I don't know if they're going to notice summon. I'm just going to move.
Nice.
Okay, let's see here. Take that.
Nice.
Alright, who's left?
Oh, man. So, yeah, man, I'm hoping that, you know, with, I'm not sure if you follow Guilty Gear, but, you know, it sounds like their netcode has definitely been a revelation. So I'm hoping that a lot of other developers really take the time when it comes to their next iterations, you know, the next Street Fighter, the next Tekken, because, you know, a game can be awesome and it can be fantastic. Case in point, you know, Dissidia. But if you can't play it, worth the damn. All that's irrelevant. None of it matters.
Yeah, man. Also, Oglafolan, thank you for the follow. You're loved and appreciated for that. Thank you. Yeah, so freaking, yeah, rollback netcode, I'm a believer. Like, obviously, like, when everybody was talking about it on, for Strive, like, I thought maybe when I actually played Strive that was actually my first experience of it, only to realize, no, that's not the case. I've played this type of netcode before. Please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Ouch. I got hit. Not the face, please. Take this. Please take this. They didn't take it. I'm sad. Ouch.
One of the saving graces of like Marvel Infinite, right?
Right.
Like no matter what, you know, whatever, regardless of what happened with the history of the game, you can always still play that game online.
Right.
Like you find somebody, you know what I mean? Like that's why that community's been so vibrant. You can still play. It's not perfect.
Right.
But it's a damn sight better than most experiences. By a long shot.
Okay, let's see here. I need to get back in here. I need to actually attack the right target. Ooh, okay. Okay, they're kind of strafing us here. Or I'm getting strafed by the opponents. Okay.
That was nice.
Okay. Ah! Didn't block in time.
Ooh,
oh, time up again. So, how did this one pan out? Did they get us? Did they get us again?
No, I think you guys got that one.
Woohoo! We got there! Just barely. Never doubt the power of the great Shantato.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh man, not sure. I think that have you ever watched Evangelion at all?
Evangelion? I've seen it before. I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan, but I am familiar of it. I know about it. Is that one of your go-to animes or?
No, I just recently like rewatched the original series. I'd watched it years ago, like a decade ago or something like that. But I rewatched it and I was like, man, this is so good. Like I'm always like surprised to watch things. You know, as you get older, your perspective changes.
Mm-hmm.
But they apparently like, all the remakes are on Amazon, so I'm like, I think I'm just gonna binge that tonight. Might just do that. That might be like the rest of my night or something like that. I don't feel like doing much. Oh, we actually have like 8 people in here. Let's go. Nice.
Yeah. You must go and fight to your heart's content. Ho 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 ho.
Right, let's see if people are gonna actually use real comps now. This is where it gets spicy.
Right.
It's like, all right, you have 6 people, but are they gonna run like real comps? So what you'll see 90% of the time is you'll just see triple melee. Just like I ain't picking no marksman. You know what I mean? Or I ain't picking no. I'm gonna pick whoever I want, and you guys just have to deal with it.
Yeah, so. It's gonna be what Garland, Cloud, and Sephiroth.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, this is one of those games where your knowledge is always inherently incomplete if you don't play all 3 roles. And I'm not saying you need to be masterful at them.
Right. You
don't need to be the world's best marksman, the world's best, you know, whatever. You need to have an understanding of all 3 roles. You know what I mean? Like. You need to like be able to know what they want to do because that will allow you to put yourself in their shoes. You know, when that situation happens, you'll know how to respond and how to react. So I think one of the better practices for the City NT is to become very solid or very strong in 2 roles. Pick 2 roles and be very good in them. So like mine is I started off with marksman and then I transition over to Vanguard and I'm decent at both. Right, I can play either one of them like with ease. And then the one that I'm not so great at is speed. Right, I'm not that good at assassin just because at the higher level, in the people that I'm playing against on a regular basis, when I want to actually sit down and play, they're just insanely good. You know what I mean? And it's just hard to get in on them. Because they're playing the game at such a level. So it's just
because they're just super duper mobile. Like right here, like this squad, the squad players 4, 5, and 6, at least on my screen, they seem to be the most balanced squad. But that's not to say that this squad with Gabranth can still piece it together, because Furion is ridiculous. He is so good. Like, I tried to use Furion a long time ago, and I just could not piece it together, because I was kind of I was kind of taken aback by the fact that a lot of his stuff requires him to be stationary. And then I played against other people that were way better with him than I was and realized, oh, him being stationary is not the issue because the stuff that he does is pretty ridiculous.
He is not for me. I know every Vanguard, but I just don't play him. He is just not my cup of tea at all.
Right. The one Vanguard that I'm okay with is Gabranth, because it's like he's pretty straightforward. Just, I have this large sword, I'm going to hit you with it, and that's that.
Yeah.
And so...
I agree.
So, okay, how about a cool question? So, if the City of Final Fantasy NT was still being supported, like, still getting updates, still breaking out some new characters, or whatever the case, as a matter of fact, it probably... had it survived long enough, it probably would have benefited quite a bit from the pandemic. What characters would you have liked to see?
Well, good question. Good question. Well, there's always a faves, you know what I mean? Definitely Agrius, whatever you call her, from Tactics, or Delita, so there's another one there.
Right.
From 13, I think 13's good, actually. From 5, I think it would be cool to see Ferris. For sure. From 4, give me Edge. Definitely give me Edge or Redia from 4. 4 already had 3, and it's the big 3. You know what I mean? Like, you can't not have them. If not, they've been in the game for so long. From 10, give me Orin. Or give me Lulu. Give me Lulu. That's my wife. That's my actual. I don't like waifu, e-girl, all that stuff. But she's an exception to the rule. Give me Lulu. Apparently, this game was data mined like 2 months after it came out. So like we had a list of all the characters that were going to be in the game, and pretty much all of them came. They scrapped a few of them. Like Zach Fair was supposed to be in the game. Also Vivi from Final Fantasy 9 as well.
Right.
Was supposed to be in the game. Neither one of them. I don't know.
Vivi's the black mage, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
dude,
thought that would have been a really interesting pick from them, honestly.
Yeah, like for real, like if Vivi made it into the game, even though like I just got finished saying I'm not a big Final Fantasy 9 person, but if Vivi ended up in the game, I know it's another shoot that I'd be using, but good lord, I'd be using Vivi like all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I was very curious to see what they would have done with them, to be honest with you. But I would really wanted to see them like kind of go off the beaten path. You know what I mean? Like this is your game. Like let's get some guest characters from other. It doesn't need to just be Final Fantasy. Like guest characters are hype. You know what I mean? Like everybody likes guest characters. Like let's get some Chrono Trigger characters in there. Let's get some other Square Enix property characters in there. Like doesn't need to just be Final Fantasy. It's just like I don't know. That would have been nice. Like I think. Watching the way Smash Ultimate's done it, and it's just like let it be a celebration because they're just celebrating the game's history. Like the city has been around for like almost like 15 years or something like that. Just kind of do the same, you know what I mean? Like to celebrate the game's existence. I think I would have liked that because there's a lot of characters I can name, but
yeah, who would you be interested in being a guest character in this game?
Man, definitely Chrono, Frog, or Magus.
Oh god,
or hell,
man,
even give me Luca from Trigger.
Bro, you're literally just home running right now, just from everything that you're saying. Like, Chrono Trigger characters would have been pretty amazing. I think maybe some characters from like Grandia or even the Tales of franchise probably would have been pretty neat. Freaking
any of that.
Yeah, because that's.
You have an insane library. Just use it. You know what I mean? Like, people love your old games. They love your new games. Like, you have so much to pull from. Like, literally just use it. It feels like, I don't know, they have a different approach nowadays when it comes to a lot of stuff like IPs. Like, they keep remastering the same stuff over and over again, but then they don't like touch a lot of other things that are like, dude, people love these games, like, and they always have loved these games. And even if they aren't like big system, like sellers or copies or whatever, like they do still reserve. They deserve that same level of reverence as other titles, or other like remakes and stuff like that. That's just my opinion, and I think that them not doing that is a huge missed opportunity. You know what I mean? Like it's just people will always love those games. It's just, know, they have different priorities now. You know what I mean? I feel like they're really leaning quite heavily on like mobile. I think like 40 or 50% of their profits come from mobile games. So it's like, you know, it is a new era. Mobile games are just like free money at this point. If you put out a mobile game that's good and it performs, yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's gonna be good. That's gonna be good for your business. Like I think that's one good thing to come out of the City NT debacle was Opera Omnia. People love that game, and that game's still getting updated. It's very successful.
Yeah, I've seen like in social media and just like in general, like they are playing the bejesus out of that game. That game has been just super duper popular.
Yep.
And it's and it's a gacha game, right?
It is a gacha game.
Oh, okay.
You know, every time I say that, people are like, "It's not a gacha game." And I give you all these reasons. I'm like, "That's a gacha game." And like, you know, looking at some of the things on the horizon, you know, did you get a chance to play the Stranger of Paradise demo? The game they announced at E3?
No, I didn't get a chance to. I didn't.
Well, it's essentially like Dark Souls for Final Fantasy. I played it and it was pretty hilarious. But it just seems like they're really like taking a lot of like liberties with a lot of their different IPs. You know what I mean? Like they're experimenting a bit. Like they have the Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale game coming out. They're redoing all those, you know, Final Fantasy VII, like the whole collection and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting. You know what I mean? At this point, a lot of the changes that they're making. So I would just like to see a little bit more love with some of these old stuff in the closet. You know, let's get some of these vintage IPs out.
Because we like our classics, man. Give us our classics. Give us some stuff to be excited about and all other good stuff. Take that. Get out of my face. Unfortunately, I didn't change targets when I did. Oh, I'm next to a corner. I'm screwed. Ooh,
I think Final Fantasy 16 definitely is going to create a different path for them. You know what I mean? And we'll see. I think the remakes at this point are too big to fail. I think it would be extremely difficult for them to actually botch that at this situation.
Right.
Like, I think it's very clear what they need to do, what people like, what people didn't like, and they just need to replicate that over and over again until the series is over, honestly. And then they'll be looking to see what they're going to remaster next. My money is going to be on Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy 10, but like I'm like 90% sure it's going to be Final Fantasy 10.
Oh yeah, probably. I mean, because who doesn't love Yuna? Unless you play this game a lot and then you realize Yuna is extremely annoying. Let's see, how do we...
Oh yeah, Yuna is a, oh man, we have so many memes about that. Yuna is like one of the most cursed characters ever. Her, Snow, and Arden are just like gross. They're so good, and they're just like meta breaking, all three of them. They just like defy the rules and natural rules in the game. It's just, you know, just, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say.
I am dead.
Off the slash right there.
I am very dead.
Yeah.
I am extremely dead. Good lord. Yeah, I ran out of stamina too. It was like I've been running like no stamina like the entire time. I was like, I have to get away. Who knew? And then the pain just ensued, and there was nothing I could do except look there, just stare. All right, let's see here. Let's see. I'm loving the side tangents. They're great. Went over that. So in your content creation, what areas do you feel could use some improvement?
Ooh, good question, man. So definitely, I'm still kind of early on with both writing as well as editing. My writing could definitely use some work, and just listening to some old projects and to new projects, I've definitely tried to increase the flow and fluidity of how the structure, right? They can be a bit more entertaining, you know what I mean? Like just more interactiveness and editing. Like my editing, I would give it's like a 6 out of 10, like in comparison to like what you can do. But also I just know that like, hey, there's a legit constraint. Like I can only like do so much when it comes to that. But I am working on like what are you gonna do, man?
Okay.
Hold on, I'm waiting to see. Okay. This is always the moment where it's like, all right, man, are you picking marksman or am I? We're both hovering over the same character. But yeah, definitely. So big standouts I would say is sharper writing, right? Because sometimes I find that what I'm trying to say, I take too long to get there, and it can just be much more concise. And on top of that, also being a bit more laid back, right? I feel like I'm talking in them like a formal structure, but I want it to be more laid back. You know what I mean? Like just kind of you're having a conversation with them. You know, it doesn't need to be like I am in front of you giving a presentation. Sure, sometimes that works, but I don't really want most of my content to revolve around that. So I would say pacing, structure, and presentation. I think that I'm a pretty good orator. You know, I can speak well. That's you know, pretty much my job. My job pretty much gave me those skills. I can speak well. I can present information well and stuff like that. But I think the editing definitely and the structure, all that can be improved just a bit. Yeah. And that's the thing with editing, man, is that there is no ceiling for that. You can always be a better editor, but you need to find the balance between being a good editor and actually getting content out. Because what happens to me and other content creators is that the idea of putting together a project is like a massive undertaking. You know, when you do that, you compound that with work life, with work. If you have kids or anything like that, social obligations, it just becomes like, this is going to be an insane undertaking. And it can be a lot for like your mental. So I have to find a way to produce high quality content, because I refuse to put out anything that's like subpar. And I'm not saying it's all like the best content ever, but if it's got my name on it, man, it's got to at least be a certain way.
Right. It's got to be at your,
you know what I mean?
specifications.
It's got to be a certain way. So I got to find a balance with that, and just, you know, honestly getting content out there, because I have a lot of ideas, but like I just don't always get executed, or when I do execute it, it's already passed. Like the moment's already passed, and that's important when it comes to like YouTube. When it comes to YouTube, you know, you need to be Johnny on the spot with the content.
Right.
You need to create that content when it's hot, when it's searchable, when people are looking for it. If you don't, then you miss your window. Like the algorithm is not going to do you any favors.
Right.
So that's just like a reality of being a content creator. And also, like, I just got a stream deck, so I want to stream more, get a constant stream schedule. You know, it's the same thing every single week. But this is the thing, and let me know what you think about this. You know, every resource that I've researched and looked at, you know, you look at other, you know, content creators that are successful. Pretty much all universes say the same thing: is that you need to pick a topic and stay with it. You can't be switching. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, is like the topic, the city, I can't really pick that because it's dead.
Right.
Like I don't get anything. Like I could make the best Dissidia content ever and would still only get like 500 views.
Right.
Like that's just the reality of this game, and it just kind of is what it is. So that's why I kind of mentioned earlier, like transitioning over to Marvel, because that game's having a huge resurgence, and it was my original game.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's the game I came from. So I think that might be the one that I try and focus on a bit more to actually build my audience. So that was a long answer.
No, it's
so
fine.
to kind of pinpoint it, big things are, you know, editing, structure, but consistency. More than anything else, like I just need to be consistent. The content that I produce needs to come out on a regular basis. It needs to be stuff that people actually care about, are looking at. I just do. My bad, dude. That cool just probably pissed. Like you just did that.
But yeah, dude, like I hear what you're saying. Like I know that feeling of like you have an idea and you try to execute it, but you don't execute it like fast enough, and then either A, as you stated, the moment has already passed, or B, maybe somebody else already, you know, took a stab at it and already, you know, and then there's that, and it's like, well, you're too late, you know, and that sort of thing. I know about that. Like I tend to be slow on the pickup when it comes to that sort of stuff. So I feel your pain on that.
Yeah.
So. Any big projects that we can expect from you and your channel? Even though you've alluded to it already, but go ahead.
The two I need to do for my sanity's sake, because I have like this like guilt thing that happens, is like, I didn't do anything today. I didn't do any writing. I didn't do any research. I didn't do anything like that. And this kind of like, it's like needles in your mind almost. You know, it's like this guilt, productivity guilt thing that's insane that nobody should have. But I need to do the why we don't need Final Fantasy X-3. I'm gonna do that video first, and then I'm gonna do why you should play Final Fantasy V. And those will be my last Final Fantasy videos, probably for a long while. A long while. I'm gonna switch over to just pretty much like Marvel from that point on. But those two projects need to be done. And that's pretty much it. You know, like I don't think I have anything else to say right now. Like as far as the Final Fantasy escape is concerned, I don't think that. I think other content creators fill that void better than I do.
Right.
And sometimes you just gotta kind of look at it like that. Like they are just doing it better than you are, and they're just consistent. You know what I mean? It's just like I just don't feel like trying to compete in this space. It's just not working. You know, sometimes you just need to look at what's working, what's not working. And that's just kind of the reality of it. So I want to switch over to Marvel. Marvel is going to be the vibe. We'll see how that goes because I went back and did some research analytics and stuff like that from both Twitch and YouTube. And the vast majority of my subscribers from YouTube came from when I was uploading Marvel content like all the time.
Right.
And I got like 400 followers from the City NT, but that was over the course of like three years or so. But like, it sucks that this game there's no viable future. Like this game just, you can create the best content ever and be compelling. You'll kind of just be like you're off doing your own thing. You know what I mean? Like it's just hard to grow an audience for something that nobody's looking for.
Right. And then the other thing is like the other thing that makes it difficult to do content for like the City of Final Fantasy NT these days is the fact that it's not like some other older games where like an adventure game, a side-scrolling beat 'em up, or an RPG where it's like you go back for the nostalgia's sake and there's other things that you can do that can be interesting to the viewers and whatnot. No, like the City NT is literally just all in on the one thing that it does. So, and because of that, there's so many other like you're required to have multiple people to play, and you know, and like that's a huge one. That's a very big deal. So yeah, I can see how like, you know, doing any further content for this would be not the best.
You know, like there is one avenue, and I was thinking about this based off what you just said. Like people always have a real crazy hate boner for this game. It's like you could always make like sensationalized stuff for this game. Like, hey, why does City NT suck? You know what I mean? Like you could always create content like that. Or like because I genuinely like the game, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
But I did misspeak a moment ago. There is one other video I'm gonna make is the 5 things I want to see in the next City NT. Or the city rather, not the City NT. 5 things I want out of the next Dissidia. And then after those 3 videos, I'll just kind of cool it for a while when it comes to the Final Fantasy stuff. I might revisit it in the future, but I just really feel like it's time to kind of change gears, man. Sometimes I feel like you just gotta know that. You know, let's just try something new.
Yeah, just try something new and just take it from there.
Actually, you know, like I have another YouTube channel, so I had all the content on this one YouTube channel, and so I was like, no, your YouTube channel is too busy. Like you have stuff on here about TV shows, movies, video games. Like it's just, you know what I mean? Like no one's gonna be like your click-through rate sucks and all that stuff like that. I was like, all right, cool. So I created another separate YouTube channel and it's like uploaded all the stuff I'd already done. One thing I really like doing, man, is I like breaking down TV, video, movies, all that stuff like that. But the way DMCA is nowadays is absolutely maddening.
Right.
You like put something in there that's longer than like seconds. I'm talking like 4 or 5 seconds. It will literally just like demonetize it. No one can see it.
Right.
And like trying to continue to edit like that is literally just like maddening. Like your sanity will slowly slip. If it wasn't for that, I would probably just do like stuff like based off media, you know, like TV, film, anime, manga, all that stuff. You just really have to be more of a presenter. Like your face needs to be like, you need to be speaking to the camera like 90% of the time, and just kind of sparsing in clips. But if you try and do like video, like breakdown, like essays, it's like you can barely use any of the footage.
Right.
And it wasn't even that bad when I first started. When I first started, like around May of last year, I was doing videos on Californication because that's like one of my favorite videos, favorite series of all time. And even that was like a struggle, and like it's only gotten worse as time has gone by. So I'll have to figure something out also. But I think that might be another avenue as well. I didn't even realize what's going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, it's a busy game.
It's a very busy game.
Right there.
But yeah, man, it's really it be the difficult.
Yeah, but you know, if it wasn't, then everybody would be doing it, right?
Exactly. Like
it's the reality of the game. Whew.
see here.
Bio is just so good. Oh, that was a good lightning strike.
Whoopsie McDoopsie.
Yeah, that wasn't even on you. I saw it in slow motion. He did jump, and then the lightning just came up to him and just clapped him.
All right. Well, LordChaoSama, I greatly appreciate you stopping in and being a part of this edition of McAgee3 Meetup. You've provided a lot of very interesting insight. I can definitely tell, like, even though you yourself have admitted that this game is basically donezo, like, there's still definitely a passion for it. And Final Fantasy also as a whole. I'm looking forward to some of your Marvel vs. Capcom stuff. Like, I'll be looking very closely at that. And also, you guys, if you also too want to catch up on Lord KO, not Chow. KO, right?
Yeah, it takes some time, man.
Right,
it
right.
Takes it.
If you want,
just feel free to call me KO. I think the Lord is like what's just like. You can either call me KO or you can call me LC. Like those are like the two that most people will go with on.
Gotcha. But yeah, I got the social media outlets out on the screen right now. Is there anything that is missing, KO?
I got too many tabs up. My bad, man.
It's all good.
No, that looks good. Probably YouTube. That's probably the best way. So if you like any like long form content or anything like that, can I drop my YouTube? Is that cool?
Yeah, that's fine. You can drop it in the chat. It's fine.
Okay, that's gonna be if you're looking for like any like essays or short form kind of thing. That's probably the best way. Yeah, those are the best, I would say.
Sweet. So yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna check out this match here, and then we'll go into like our final thoughts and all that other good stuff. So for those of you that are watching, that might not be familiar. Like I said, the game, like, you get the full experience of the game when there's actually 6 people playing. The game ran into a lot of really unnecessary stumbling blocks through the community, through the people responsible for the game itself, and, like, you know, etc. But when things are when the stars are aligned and everything is running perfectly, it is, in my opinion, is one of the best games you could possibly play. Best multiplayer games you can possibly play. I mean, obviously there are other multiplayer games that are better than this one. I'm willing to admit that. Smash! But still though, like, it's still an interesting experience, and it's a wonderful one. Yo, I was about to say, like, it's a wonderful train wreck, but it just reminded me of that. You remember that advertisement that someone did? Yeah. Where it's like, it said something like only, I don't know what to say, like only stupid people would like this game? And this was the ad promoting the game? I'm like, what?
Actual insanity in the Square Enix offices, I'm telling you, man. Actual insanity.
Yeah.
In the Square Enix offices.
Yeah, I'm just like, at what point do you go into a business meeting about promoting something, and your first response of promoting it is to, 1, insult the people that are probably interested, and 2, insult the product? At what point is that a good idea? I don't even think the people of Jackass do that, right?
Yeah, nah.
And they made
that is actually, now that you say it, man, that is some Jackass level stuff.
Yeah. I mean, come on, who does that? That is ridiculous. Another thing I wanted to touch on with the game is, like, I think another interesting thing that would have been cool was, once again, like I mentioned earlier, if all the characters were built to be able to deal with 1v1 situations as well as being able to be in a group format, that being able to have, like, the item system back. I mean, granted, it would still have to be scaled down a bit because it's a lot of characters, but yeah, like, just being able to have it that, like, just, like, instead of just completely omitting, like, the equipment format or other stuff in the previous game, so just, you know, have some of it still in there. Another Kale, tell me what you think of this idea. What if, like, if you couldn't do the items, right, that were in the previous games, what if instead you do what, like, NetherRealm Studios does?
We just lost us. How we didn't want to say. Give me 1 second because I am like.
Oh, you're focusing.
Yeah.
Okay. He's trying to get there. He's trying to get there. He's down to the wire. Don't remember what character he picked, but
Jesus Christ, I have Terra.
Oh yeah, Terra. Oh, okay, we're focused on him. Okay. So
Vanguard update.
Okay, trying to. Terra's another character I had trouble trying to figure out because I think the thing
don't die. Oh no, that's good.
I think the thing that scared me away from Terra was the fact that in order to make her powerful, you have to actually not do anything.
Yeah,
and I felt
it's so different from Yuna, where Yuna, in order to do anything, is just mash buttons. No, so.
Right. I mean, actually, a good comparison for Terra would be Baiken from Guilty Gear, because Baiken, like, her gameplay mechanic is counterintuitive to how you play Guilty Gear, where in Guilty Gear you're trying to do offense, but Baiken, to use her properly, you have to focus on defense. Like, all of her main moves are from her either blocking, or if we're talking about, like, was it Revelator? Like Revelator or Xrd, one of the two, where you actually have a stance, like a guard stance, where you can actually do, like, your stuff. Good stuff, bro.
Oh man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go radio silent there.
Oh no, it's fine. Look, that's how this game is, man. When you get to that crunch time, it's like, okay, we gotta piece this together.
Yeah, it'd be just like that. Oh my god, that was a good match. It's like, man, that Vanguard change. Okay, can you ask your question one more time?
Yes. So the question I had was, what would you think if instead of, since we can't have like the equipments and stuff in the game, rather you have the game set up to where, just like with NetherRealm games like Mortal Kombat, they have 3 variations, where each variation has like different movesets to them.
That might work. That might work, actually. That might work.
Yeah, because it's because once again, I can only base my only game outside of N-Team that I've played. But like, the one thing I do remember is that as you level up the characters, you unlock more moves for them to use. And one thing that I definitely noticed with this game is that there are a lot of characters, or rather most of the cast, there's moves that they're just missing. They're just not there. And maybe it's because of just like funding or whatever the case, but how interesting would it be if it was like, you know, I mean, I guess the way you would look at it is basing it with what we already have. You have your Vanguard, you have your Assassin, you have your Marksman. But what if instead of it just being characters to like those specific traits, you actually had like a Vanguard, Marksman, or Assassin variation for each character?
That'd be cool. I actually like the way you're thinking there. Yeah, because it felt like, to a certain extent, with the HP selection in this game, they try to do that, right? They're like, okay, you can play back, you know, you can support your team with Surge Braves, with Surge HPs, or hey, even though you're a marksman, you can still run up and do a HP, you know what I mean? So it felt like they had that kind of vein of thought a little bit with this game, and they really wanted to try and give people variety, you know, and I thought that was pretty cool, but the longer the game went on, it became clear that, hey, these characters are in very, very rigidly defined roles. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was kind of a 50-50 compromise a little bit, and it just didn't end up working out. I think that would be cool. Or if they could find a way, you know, to make every character be able to fight each other, just like how it was in the original, I think that would be a pretty cool compromise as well.
Right.
That'd be cool.
And maybe potentially, like, you know, having, well, you know, set them in a way to where they can handle themselves by themselves, and maybe not making the, Man, it's really hard to say that because I keep wanting to say maybe not make the 3v3 required, but as you stated earlier, then it loses its identity if that's the case.
Yeah, you know, I think that, honestly, to be honest with you, man, this was definitely a one and done. The 3v3,
right.
I don't think they'll ever dabble in this again.
Right.
They might make it an optional, like, hey, kind of fun thing. You know, how we treat 1v1 now, they might treat 3v3 like, hey, sure, you can, it's an option, but the game's not balanced for that.
Right.
And, you know, if they're looking at number-wise, I'm like, why would we waste resources trying to implement a 3v3 system when the West didn't care about that? You know, they didn't buy the game that was 3v3, even though that had nothing to do with it. You know, like, your game wasn't playable. That's why people didn't buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real shame. But,
Really.
But hey, I mean, I guess there's always what the Omnium one, whatever. I forgot the title of it already. The one that everybody's playing, the gotcha game.
Oh yeah, Opera Omnia.
Yeah, Opera Omnia.
Opera Omnia.
Yeah,
the gotcha will live on.
Right.
The gotcha will live on forever.
And you know, either that's a good thing or a bad thing, but what the bottom line is, it's a thing. And good God Almighty, the double kill, sweet mother.
Yeah.
That was good stuff. But alright, like I was alluding to before, Lord Cow, or rather KO, thank you very much for being a part of the channel. Thank you very much for being a part of this stream, for being my guest. Like, really appreciate it. We even went over the addressed time that you used to specify, but as I try to tell all my guests, sometimes when the conversation's really good, it just happens, you know?
Yeah, no, it wasn't even a big deal, man. I enjoyed it too. It was a very, very good conversation. I appreciate you having me, and I really appreciate you really giving the game a spotlight, honestly. You know, like, the game is just, you know, it's underrated. It is special, but it has some issues, right?
Right.
It has some critical issues, but I'm glad that we had a chance to have this conversation on air, and you know, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, well, because like I said at the very beginning, like, this game was very pivotal in this channel's foundation, and so and that was one of the main reasons why I had to reach out to you, because through Twitter I saw how much of a leader you were with the Dissidia Final Fantasy NT community, and like with the tournaments and everything. And then when I ultimately saw that you were basically just done, you know, I was like, you know, when I saw you post that, I was just like, yo, this is a big deal. And then you made the video about the 5 things that were the downfall of Dissidia. It was like, I need to talk to this guy. Like, I need to see his perspective of this whole thing, because like the YouTube video that you made was really, really good, but it's like I had to hear it from you, because as we stated, it's like it's not often you have someone who feels as strongly about the game as you do. And so not saying that we're changing people's minds about the game. It's just 2 guys that really, really, really enjoy the game and just enjoy sharing it with you all. So with that being said, I know there's another match queued up, but I stream every Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time USA. Tuesdays is Art Tuesdays. Fridays is TJ McAgee3. We do adventure games. Saturday Sluggers. We do fighting games. If you like what you saw, give your man a follow. If you love what you saw, give your man a sub. But either way, let folks know that McAgee3 is out here putting quality content for each and every one of you. In regards to social media, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and DeviantArt at McAgee3. I also have a YouTube channel called McAgee3 Productions. It's where I do my off-stream grind, casual crashers, and McAgee3 Minute series. You can also find some of my old Dissidia footage on my YouTube channel as well, if you're interested in that. Just Shantato just scraping people left and right. So if you're interested in that, just subscribe on the YouTube channel to get up to date on all the content that comes up there. I am also an artist. I do emotes, sub-badges, avatars, and banners. Currently, I'm working on my original comic book, Blue Ninja, The Story of Navaya, which you can find on the DeviantArt page, deviantart.com/McAgee3. Episodes 1 through 4 are available for your viewing pleasure on the DeviantArt page, and you can catch me between now and the end of this month, for every day that I stream, working on episode 5. So, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, working on the comic book, with the exception of today, because we have my guest, my honored guest, that we had to talk to. So, let me see here. KO, once again, did you want to do any other social drops, or were there any other shout-outs or whatever you wanted to drop on our way out the door?
Probably a big one is definitely give me a shout on Twitter. Best way to get a hold of me. Hit me in Discord. If you still want to do Dissidia-based stuff, we're kind of slowly growing. Kind of a Dissidia. Everybody is playing right now is people from my server, my Discord server.
Yep.
So definitely feel free to join that. Or Dissidia Network's probably pretty good too. I don't know how active it is there anymore. Like I tried to get a lobby going like a while back, and I literally couldn't get a lobby, dude. So I don't know if it might be relegated to more intimate settings now. You know what I mean? Like it just might be that. But yeah, and yeah, definitely make sure you follow this man. Make sure you got his socials and definitely support his YouTube. I feel like any content creator I see doing their thing, you need to support them. So yeah, once again, thank you for having me on. Hope it wasn't too long-winded, guys, but I really enjoyed this conversation, man, and I enjoyed kind of having the spotlight back on NT.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that I was able to have this conversation with you as well. Like, it was very, very enlightening, and it's just really awesome to hear somebody who's just as enthusiastic about it. I can't, look, I know I'm being a broken record, but, like, I can't express that enough. Like, it's, like, this game is just really awesome, and I'm glad that, you know, there were other people that felt the same way. So, shout-outs on the way out the door. We've got, obviously, we've got Lord KO. We've got Olga Flowen. We've got Bushido Dom. We've got Pigeon Senpai, Gray Skittle, Bird and Butterfly. Olga Flowen, thank you for the follow. You're loved and appreciated for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are the best audience a content creator could ever ask for. Thank you for spending your precious time with your man McAgee3 and your man KO. You all spending your precious time with us lets us know that our content is worth your precious time, and your time is exactly that. It is very precious to us, so thank you very much. In regards to me, I will see you on Tuesday for another edition of Art Tuesday. If I don't see you on Tuesday, I will see you on Friday for another edition of TJ McAgee3. And if for whatever reason, I'll see you on Friday. I'll see you next week for another edition of Saturday Sketchers, because we're working on the comic book. So you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend. Have a wonderful, wonderful new work week. And in regards to what's going on in the world right now, I will once again leave you all with this. It is always darkest before dawn. So you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye-nie!